I suppose earlier in my career there was cortisone, and then the EPO generation began.
He survived cancer that had spread to his brain and lungs. He came back and won the Tour de France 7 times in a row. He raised hundreds of millions of dollars for cancer research. He was one of the most celebrated athletes in human history.
Everything was a fight, not even a competition. It was a fight.
And it was all built on the biggest lie in the history of sport. This is the crazy story of Lance Armstrong. Plano, Texas, September 18th, 1971. Lance Edward Armstrong is born to a teenage mother. His biological father leaves almost immediately. His mother remarries, but that relationship is difficult. What Lance has from the very beginning is drive. Absolute, burning, relentless, competitive drive. He becomes a professional triathlete at 16. By his early 20s, he's one of the best young cyclists in the world. Aggressive, fearless, obsessively competitive. He turns professional and immediately makes an impact. Everything is on track for a remarkable career. And then, in 1996, at just 25 years old, he receives a diagnosis that should have ended everything.
When I was diagnosed, I was living in Austin, Texas, which of course now the world views as like the coolest, smartest city in America.
Testicular cancer, already spread to his lungs, abdomen, and brain. Doctors gave him less than 50% chance of survival. Most people thought his story was over. They were wrong. Lance Armstrong didn't just survive cancer, he used it as fuel. He came back to professional cycling in 1998 in better physical shape than before his diagnosis. Then, in 1999, just 3 years after being told he might die, he won the Tour de France, the most grueling endurance event in all of sport, 2,200 miles through the mountains of France, and then he won it again in 2000, and again in 2001. Thus 7 consecutive victories between 1999 and 2005, a record that had never been achieved in the history of the race. He became the greatest symbol of human resilience the sporting world had ever seen. His Livestrong Foundation raised over $500 million for cancer research. Yellow wristbands were worn by hundreds of millions of people globally. He was on every magazine cover, every talk show, every advertisement. He was untouchable until he wasn't. Rumors about doping in professional cycling had existed for decades, but around Lance Armstrong specifically, they were everywhere. Former teammates raised concerns. Journalists asked hard questions. Armstrong denied everything, aggressively, publicly, legally. He sued journalists who accused him. He won those cases. He attacked former teammates who spoke out. He destroyed reputations. He bullied. He intimidated. For years, it worked. But in 2012, the United States Anti-Doping Agency released a 1,000-page report compiled from testimonies of over 26 witnesses, including 11 former teammates. The conclusion was unambiguous. Lance Armstrong had run the most sophisticated doping program in the history of sport. EPO, blood transfusions, human growth hormone, testosterone, systematically throughout all 7 Tour de France victories, every single win stripped. His Olympic bronze medal taken. A lifetime ban from competitive sport issued. In January 2013, on national television with Oprah Winfrey, Lance Armstrong finally admitted everything. The whole world watched. Armstrong lost most of his major sponsors overnight, faced hundreds of millions of dollars in legal settlements. His Livestrong Foundation distanced itself from him completely. He's largely withdrawn from public sporting life. He hosts a popular cycling podcast called The Move. He's spoken openly in interviews about regret and the culture that enabled him. Whether his remorse is genuine, people still debate. The cancer survivors he inspired, their stories remain real. The records he broke, gone forever. Lance Armstrong built the greatest sporting legacy of his generation on a foundation of lies. And when it fell, it took everything with it. That was the crazy story of Lance Armstrong. Inspirational hero or calculated fraudster? Can both be true at the same time? Tell us in the comments. We read every single one. Subscribe for a new story every week. Next time, a Paralympic hero. A man the whole world cheered for, who shot and killed his girlfriend on Valentine's Day. See you there.